Hi class, Mr. Bates coming live with the answers to chapter 4, which you should have done yesterday, Wednesday. Today's Thursday morning. We're at our home office watching The Office. Can you see it back there? Well, be right back. We have an issue to attend to. One spilled water bottle later. Let's go over the answers. We were doing chapter 4, numbers 1 through 9, 14, 15, 24 to 29. I'll just, if you need help with an answer, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have, you pause this video to reread the question, and then I'm gonna go over it, alright? So number 1. Pause the video. Okay. Number 1 is 2. Letter B is that thing going around, and that's what controls stuff in and out. That's called the cell membrane. 2, which is not correct. This is a classic Regents question where I ask you which is not correct in terms of the cell membrane. The answer is 2. The cell membrane forms a barrier that keeps all substances that might harm the cell from entering it. If that were the case, we'd be in school right now, because nothing would be getting into our cells through the cell membrane, like viruses and bacteria and stuff. Okay, what happens during diffusion? This is number 3. Pause. Is 1. Molecules move automatically from high to low. Remember the hill you draw up on the hill at Ayer Park, down at you ride your bike down, it doesn't take any energy. Going up takes energy. As you know, we're talking diffusion, active transport. I'll set up a little experiment. Okay, if your parents let you, take some eggs and put them in some vinegar. I'll top it off. What you'll notice is, pretty quick, these eggs will start to lose their shells, which the shell is just a coating around the cell membrane. Then tomorrow we can play with some diffusion active transport. If you do this and send me a picture on JB Science stuff later, I'll I don't know, I can't really give you extra credit, but maybe write you a letter, give you a shout out on Insta, or I can hype you up or something on Insta. I'll have Julie explain it to me. You can hype each other up essentially on Instagram, I guess that's a thing. Okay, we're on to number 4. Pause. Is number 1. The concentration of oxygen will increase inside the cell. If you look at this image here on your paper, you can see that there's more oxygen outside. So you draw an H for oxygen outside, an L for oxygen inside. There's an H for CO2 inside, an L for CO2 outside. The high to lows, and it says after some time, where would they go on their own? The oxygen would go in, the CO2 would go out. It's just a diffusion question. 5, plant cell shrinks when placed in salt water. Let's do another experiment. Celery. Salt. So if I fill up with some water in this beaker, and I add my celery, right now, pure water, 100% water, and 90% water. Celery is mostly water, you've heard that. 90% water, a little bit of salt in there. But now we can change that by filling up this cup of salt, and now, Jules, we're using this knife, because now it's all salty. Don't use this. Anyway, now let's give this celery some time and see what happens to it. Actually, yeah, we should have a control group, but it'll happen pretty quick, and I'll update you on that one tomorrow. So back to our questions. We're on to number 6, placing, 5. A plant cell shrinks when placed in salt water due to the osmosis of. The salt doesn't move. The water moves toward the salt. So it's 1. Water molecules out of the cell. 6. Placing limp celery in water will make the celery firm again due to, what's that term that's diffusion of water into or out of a cell? It's called 2. Osmosis. Number 7. A high concentration gradient means that the concentration of a substance is high on one side of the cell membrane and low on the other. That's 4 for number 7. Number 8, ATP is being used to move the molecules out of cell A only. Cell B, that's diffusion. You don't need ATP for that. ATP is energy. If I had a dollar, I just have an IOU slip. Just kidding. But I would write my ATP on my dollar. Which process is best represented by this set of diagrams? This is number 9. 1, active transport. Anytime you see ATP in the image, it's active transport. We're skipping ahead to 14. 14 is 3. If you look at that, the amount of substance W produced in 5 minutes at various pH. This is actually a scientific method question. You really don't have to know too much about pH and stuff like that, but you do have to know that that's what they're trying to test, is the effect of pH, or acids and bases, on an enzyme. 15 is 2. Shape fits in that enzyme, so that's the only one that'll get worked on. We're going to go ahead to number 24. That was the next question. 24. What kind of transport is represented by arrow A? There's only 4 of those little triangles inside, 7 of them outside, so you know that it's active transport. It's going from low to high concentration. Draw your L's, draw your H's, draw your little hill, draw me on a bicycle at Dyer Park going down that hill, and decide, are you going against the concentration or with it? And then it says, state 2 ways which active transport is different from diffusion. Diffusion is passive, and active transport uses ATP. It's one difference. And active transport goes from low to high concentration, while diffusion goes from high to low concentration. Make sure in your explanations, if this was a Regents, you'd put those in 2 complete bullet-pointed thoughts. Okay, 25. So what specific function do these messengers on the surface of a cell membrane have? They receive messages. 26 is 2. It's just another, they're both examples of diffusion, and that's what the answers are describing. Either way, you're going from where there's a lot of X's to a little X's. 27 is 3. It's active. All those other things are just another name for passive transport, diffusion, osmosis, which is diffusion of water. It's all the same stuff. 28, it says to make a flow map. What I said was active transport is using energy. Diffusion does not use energy. Osmosis is a version of diffusion, and all of them are versions of things moving around the cell membrane. So that was just like a more of a you question, like whatever you think works for you. And if you're typing these answers, that would be one where you might make like little circles on Google Docs, and then kind of, we've seen those Regents questions where it's like smaller, bigger, 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 bigger circle. Kind of like this. Like where it's circles, and the, like, this would be like organelle, cell, organ, organism type of thing. Okay. 29, the 2 things that can happen during chemical reactions, energy stored in bonds. Okay, so this is kind of a weird one. This is trying to get you, and if you didn't really understand this question, that's okay, you're going to be all right. But 29 is the bonds get broken and energy is transferred into ATP. So we said the energy is stored in bonds. It's asking when and why and where do these bonds get broken. You have to know that that's cell respiration. In your head should pop cell respiration, bonds getting broken and storing them in ATP. That's describing in English the equation that you know and right now. That's it for today. We'll come back and take a look at our eggs and celery. Till tomorrow. Answers will be below.